making our descent here onto the Vicky B ship in the Anse Couchon area of St. Lucia. There are actually two ships that are very close together, the Lesline M and the Vicky B, which is the one that we're doing our dive right here. You can't see the other ship from here. The water clarity is not good enough for that. The visibility is limited to about 60 feet or so. The two ships are just a tiny bit out of sight of each other. Even though you can't see the other ship from the one, you can actually explore both ships on a single dive. And that is what I did on this particular dive. But in this video I'm only featuring the Vicky B. The Lesline M is a separate video that I made, and I'll put a link to that below. What makes this a unique dive is that you have two ships here close together, but in different stages of transforming into a living reef. So here we have two ships side by side that are the same type, freighter cargo ship. They are the same size range, approximately 150 feet, 46 meters in size. The ocean environment is virtually identical, but the big difference is that the Lesline M was scuttled in 1984, whereas the Vicky B that we are looking at here was scuttled in May of 2018. So at the time this video was taken, Vicky B had been down at the bottom here for 1 year and 9 months, while the Lesline M had been here at the bottom for 34 years. My attention was focused on the marine life and the side of the ship, but my camera captured what I failed to notice myself. Notice off to the side of the camera's focus, the dive master who is leading our group struggling with his air hoses. His secondary air hose, the yellow one, is jammed up and caught underneath the scuba tank, and his primary air hose, the black one, is tangled up in the yellow hose's loop. This is not a nice predicament you want to be in when you're down 75 feet in the water. Fortunately, another diver who was more directly behind him noticed his predicament and assisted him in untangling his primary air hose. However, you'll notice his yellow hose is still jammed up under his tank. However, that was soon remedied, and you'll notice in the next few frames that his yellow air hose is no longer caught underneath his scuba tank, but is neatly packed away on his side. The incident is a good reminder for us divers not to be in a rush when we are preparing our gear and ourselves for a dive. In this instance, the ending turned out to be alive and well. But not all emissions due to haste will have such a harmless ending. Well, so much for that incident. It had a happy ending. Looking back at the ship again, you can see how well encrusted it has become. Vicky B has been down here less than 2 years, and already it is showing the beginnings of a marine growth that you would find on an enchanting reef. Eventually this will turn into a reef wonderland. How the ship got to be here at the bottom is an interesting story in itself. Before I get into that, here are some stats about Vicky B. It was built as a freighter in the 1960s. It's about 45 meters, 148 feet in length. Its original name was Wibke 1. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Spelled, it's WIEBKE 1. In fact, that name can still be found on the stern in raised lettering. But over time, the ship was renamed the Vicky B, and the last recorded owner of Vicky B was from Guyana in South America. So how did a Guyanese ship end up here submerged in 23 meters, 75 feet of water in St. Lucia's Anse Couchon? Oh, by the way, does anybody need a forklift? There's a slightly used forklift in the ship's cargo hold. It's a fixer-upper and does require some maintenance. Alright, so how did the ship get here? Well, in 2011, it was intercepted about 9.5 kilometers or 6 miles offshore of St. Lucia and then searched by the St. Lucian authorities. On board, they found 30 kilos of cocaine, 46 kilos of marijuana, along with some weaponry, a shotgun, ammunition, and grenades. So you know how this is going to turn out. The vessel was seized, and 6 Guyanese that were on board were charged. However, the actual Guyanese owner of Vicky B eluded them. So after about the passing of 7 years, with no fessing up from the owner, St. Lucia put the ship to good use and scuttled it in May of 2018 to become an artificial reef. So instead of being a rusted, useless eyesore impounded at a harbor, St. Lucia turned the Vicky B into a valuable asset as an artificial reef in the bay known as Anse Couchant. Diving the Vicky B is really, really comfortable. The water temperature is 27 degrees Celsius, which is 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Curiosity often gets the best of you. In any open hatches, you just got to take a little peek to see what's down in there. And so that's it for the Vicky B. It's time for us now to turn our attention towards the Leslie M. We have to drop down back to the ocean floor and swim over to it. On our way to the next ship, off in the distance we had the privilege to spot a large ray. Not sure if it was a large stingray or a graceful manta ray.